What's up, little gangbanger? What's crackin', fool? Hey, we squabbing or what? Fucking lames. Hey, square up, lame. Dude, look, that's the question. To slap the taste out of somebody's mouth or not to slap the taste out of somebody's mouth? That is the question. Welcome to Hood Politics, another to live and die in LA. We have the timeless dilemma in whatever context you want to give of, you remember a few years ago, the question of, do you punch a Nazi or not? Right? And the two sides of the story was like, well, if you punch a Nazi, that's what they want. It makes you no different, right? So you're supposed to take the high road, right? When they go low, we go high. The Michelle Obama speech, right? And then the other side of that is like, when they go low, we squabble up. Nigga, I go lower. When they go low, I sweep the leg. I don't make the rules. When you are put in a impossible position, your code becomes irrelevant. Like sometimes that's the position. And the question is, do you stick with it or not? These are Martin and Malcolm questions, right? Who were not as separate on their beliefs as people would like them to believe. Although he believed in nonviolence, that don't mean he ain't gonna slap the shit out of you if he needs to, right? But that's the question. The question of when someone is reckless and only understands messiness or violence, do you, as our parents used to say, don't stoop to their level, right? When they clap, do you clap back? Or do you try to be the quote unquote bigger person? Now, sometimes the bigger person is a complicated concept. One of the, again, proverbial examples of this is like hiding Jewish families from the Nazis, right? Do you lie? Do you hide them and lie because it was a law? Nigga, that's not a question. Of course you do, right? But does that put your own family in danger by doing that? Yeah, but that's obviously the right question. You break the law there. But sometimes it's not so obvious, right? Sometimes in a situation, like I said, where maybe you don't like to function, maybe your code is one that says to handle this situation means I need to do something against my own code. The question is, do you trust the code? Do you trust the process? Continue to maintain your own integrity. Be the person of circumspect. Be the person that you know you want to be so that you can sleep at night. Or do you say, you know what? The greater good in here is to beat your ass. Right? I mean, that's the question facing California on November 4th. To squabble or not to squabble? The question of gerrymandering in California. Hood politics, y'all! All right, listen. Metaphors not being perfect as they can be, comparisons not being perfect as they can be, but they're notwithstanding that, there are times where fighting is your only option, right? If we're using your, again, understanding of like our cornerstone premise that if you understand the hood, you understand politics. There are times that fighting is just not, is unavoidable. There are times when you're dealing with a bully or you dealing with a hood situation where it's like, I can't call the cops. The cops don't help. They're just another problem. You're not listening to reason. The power dynamic between us two is one that is insurmountable. Like there are times where the power dynamic is insurmountable. I can think of 3 scenarios in my coming of age where the power dynamic was not surmountable. This was, I mean, I think of them in every area I lived in the Inland Empire. When I was out there, you know, walking home from school, I'm outnumbered. You know what I'm saying? It was like, this was one of, some of it had a lot of racial tension because like it wasn't a lot of us out there in area called the San Gabriel Valley, you know what I'm saying? Where, if you know me, you know where a lot of people I know personally, you know, listen to the show, know where I grew up in La Puente, Valinda. And there were times where, again, the power dynamic made it impossible. I can't be the bigger person. And I can't square up with this person. This isn't a fair one, like the New Yorkers say, man, go catch a fair one. It's not fair. Even if it's one-on-one, it's not fair. We can't go head up. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is your hood. So even if I do throw a fade right now to this dude, I'm going to be running home for the rest of my days. There is no fair ones, right? If I try to take my bike to school, you're going to steal my bike. Like, there's no fair ones. Even if I could think of one in the Inland Empire where I didn't fear him, I feared his big brothers. Where I was like, many times, I was like, I'm gonna throw you over this table. But I feared his brothers. So even if we fought, and he faded me. But if we fought and I slapped the taste out of his mouth and won, he's got two brothers that have to. Like, it's just a reality. The two brothers were older than us. You have to come help your little brother. Even if you think your little brother is wrong. And most of the time it was because this dude had a mouth. Like, most of the time it was like, he was probably wrong. What are you going to do? You've put me in a situation. And sometimes I can joke my way out of it. I hope you can see where I'm going with this. There are times that like I've been able to joke my way out of it. So I didn't have to fight. Right? I had to use mockery. I had to use the tools that were available to me because I was in a situation that required me to move in a way that I don't necessarily move. Right? Now, on the other hand, there's also the possibility that, well, I'm lying to myself about this code. That this mockery, this fighting, that's who I really am. And I do stand to gain a lot. Whether it's reputation, whether it's the ladies, whatever the case may be, I stand to gain a lot. Because I've been itching to beat the shit out of you. I say that, oh, I'm the bigger person. I say that like that, again, back to the Nazi thing where it's like, oh, you want to beat the brakes off of him. But you're scared. You know what I'm saying? So the question is about the vote that California has to do over whether we gerrymander or not. So today, a little bit of background. What we have done in Cali way back to during the governor time, and what's really at stake here, and is it worth it? Now, spoiler alert, I don't have an answer. I actually don't know what I'm gonna vote. I know I still have time, but this question is only a California question right now. Y'all got next. Wherever you are, you got next. Because we're dealing with a situation where the person that we're dealing with moves differently than the rest of us. You understand what I'm saying? When you dealing with somebody that they play by a different set of rules, sometimes you get into a position where these are just the cards we were dealt. I have to play the cards I was dealt, even if I don't even want to play this game in the first place. So I'm going to try to make a case for and against. And look, it's on you, player. I can't tell you what to do. All right, y'all ready? Here we go. So a couple weeks ago, we did an episode on gerrymandering, what it means and the history of it, right? And you can refer back to that, but essentially it's the drawing of your districts. If you don't know what your district is, that's the area for which your state representative in the legislative branch goes to. You're voting for that, right? Every state has 2 senators. And then in your House of Representatives, it depends on the amount of districts that are in your state, right? Now, when you are running for a legislative position, right, you're running to be the representative for this particular district. Now, the most logical way to think of a district is people who have shared interests because they live in a shared space, right? So they should obviously be regional, right? Because we regionally, right, a lot of times region relates pretty close to socioeconomic, not always, because especially places like Irvine, if you're down in LA, like, or certain parts of Los Angeles where one side of the street are mansions, the others are mansions that have been converted to apartments, right? Because the people that live across the street are the live-in servants, the gardeners, the people that serve the houses across the street. So there is a extreme wealth gap literally across the street, right? Or there's people, because we live in a commuting town where you live hours away from where you work, which is in a different place than where your kids go to school, right? So we just have a spread out community. So even though it might logically seem like geographic districting makes the most sense because we use the same stoplights, these are the same stores, we dealing with the same traffic, taxes, schools, this is just our experience, right? Sometimes it might become a little more complicated than that. So drawing district lines can get a little complicated. But when you draw district lines and you're running for office, obviously you want the easiest route to success, right? Hopefully this is a place that you care about, but it's probably a place you just desire power for, right? Now, in a perfect world, people who are directly affected by the decisions made and the actions within a particular district are the ones that are running for office, so that you represent the needs and the desires of the people that live in that district. That's what it's supposed to be, right? And some of those needs and desires might be in conflict. That makes sense, right? So what you do, you need to run people for office that represent the multiplicity of ideas and needs. And then you make the best case for how you can represent us the best. Some of y'all might have different political positions, may have different solutions and answers, and may come from different partisan sections. That's great. Compete, right? Make your case. Show how you care. Show your ideas. Show us what it is that would help us understand, right, that you are going to represent our best interests. But that sounds hard, right? If you run for office, I ain't trying to do all that. I just want to win. Well, how could I win? Well, if I make the districts, the shape and the population of the districts be just looped around the people that I know want me to win, then I don't have to compete with nobody. So I'm going to draw this amorphous, weird circle because I know everybody inside of this already agrees with me. It is batshit bonkers and at the same time so normal that the politician running for office gets to draw the district boundaries. That is clearly a foul. That's clearly a violation, right? Like, that is, guys, disenfranchisement. You have just that. You don't get to choose your elected official. Your elected official chooses you. I'm going to find the people that I already know want me, and I'm going to make them a district. And then tell them that you voting for me, that I need your vote. It is absurd. But that's what gerrymandering is. It's a way to, like, make sure that outwin. Now that's the dark side of it. Now, the good side of it is sometimes demographics change. Sometimes the borders do change. Sometimes because of migration in its most international sense, and other times just people moving, cities changing, schools changing, the desires changes, the demographics change, right? And sometimes with that, right, the district boundary kind of just doesn't make sense anymore, because the people inside of this space couldn't be more different, right? In the grab for Africa, I think I used this in the first thing. It's like the colonizer came in and just drew lines on the map and called one place one country and the other place the other country. The lines are arbitrary and absurd. They're driven through like neighborhoods. All of a sudden, my granddaddy who lives across the street is living in a different country now because somebody drew a line right there. That is absurd, right? But other times it might be, to use a more of a modern example, a new school was built, right? A new middle school was built, which brought an influx of younger families into this place that maybe was a multi-generational area, which was mostly old people. Now the demographics have changed. So maybe these district borders kind of don't make sense. So maybe we should redraw them, right? But who gets to decide that? Should the politician be able to decide that? To me, that seems absurd, but it's the world we in. Now, when the governor came, this was Arnold Schwarzenegger in 2008, he was the one that was like a Republican. He was like, this seems ridiculous that we should be able to draw our own districts. Don't you think there should be some sort of bipartisan, independent person who not running for office that don't get to choose the rules? That gets to choose the rules. That don't make sense to y'all. So that's what he did. He was like, okay, let's do that. Let's let an independent person who is just paid to look at this objectively, not by us, right? We don't do it. They do it. They look at what's going on in the country or in the state and they say, this makes more sense than this. Now, when you do that, that means that it goes back to that competitive districts. And that's what we've had in California for the last 10, 20 years, since 2008, were districts set by an independent board who looked at what was actually happening here and was like, no, y'all don't get to choose it. We get to choose it, right? And when you do that, that means you have a diversity of candidates running, because you just don't get to choose your own district so where you could just like moonwalk right into it. You don't get to tootsie step all the way into the office without no problems. No, like it's competitive. You know what I'm saying? So that means you got to come with your A game. You can't just phone it in, because if you just phone it in, that is kind of like disenfranchisement, right? Now, in comes Trump, who said the quiet part out loud with Texas. He was like, look, I'm finna lose this. I'm finna lose the midterm. So it's still bonkers to me that he's trying to say that there's a deep state and a cabal of people working against him. When he is the institution, you run all branches. You're the majority in every branch of government. Howard, what government deep state? You are it. But anyway, he was like, look, we finna lose. So let's just get more districts. How do I do that? He's like, well, it's simple. We just draw the district maps again, and then we just get 4 other seats. We draw it in a way that we get the seats. Like, so you just gonna say it, right? So that's what he did. That's what he did in Texas. And Texas, bend over soldier, did exactly what they wanted him to do, right? Drew this map that is absurd, despite all of the pushback from the state. It just made it's absurd. But they're able to do it. California, Governor Newsom says, wait a minute. We can't just let this slide. So if they gonna redistrict, then we should redistrict. If they bust, we bust. Right? That's not fair, because they're cheating, but they found a way to cheat that's not cheating. Does that make sense? because the state can make their own laws. But we already decided in California, that's against the code. We know that that's shady. We know that that's the wrong thing to do. Also, can we just let him do this? We kind of can't just let him, somebody cut in front of the line at an amusement park. And you know, like, you ever been to an amusement park and somebody just like, excuse me. And they just walk into the front. That's because nobody stopped them. Somebody could be like, no, you need to wait here. And they're like, well, no, I'm just going to go. It's like, no, nigga, you cheating. Do you have a fast pass? Nobody asked them, do you got a fast pass? Or you got a disabled child right there? No, you're just cutting. You go until somebody tells you to stop, right? But don't nobody want to be a problem. You don't want to be the one that caused the problems, because what if they're like, make me? Well, now you got to squabble. Well, I don't want to fight in Disneyland, but I mean, y'all just going to let this person cut in front of all of us? We all been waiting in this line. Y'all just going to let them do it? Somebody has to be like, I ain't letting that shit ride. Somebody got to be like Kendrick, like, I'm not with the kumbaya shit. Man, Eclipse record is great. So the question is, do you do that? Like, do you say, wait, hold up. You can't just, but y'all just going to let them do this? But if you've already said to yourself, listen, I'm not a line cutter. I don't do that. I'm committed to nonviolence. We already had our system. We have already decided we actually like our system. Our system's working and our people like it. But we've been put in a position where if somebody got to do something is the argument. So what do? Well, Governor Newsom says, well, we redraw districts, but because California actually likes their system, you have to vote on that. We're not like Texas where the politicians can just decide to do it. Because that seems crazy, right? So we know this is crazy. You can't just, that is clearly disenfranchisement. That's what I don't understand about Texas. Like, you're being disenfranchised, right? You roping you into a district that meant that your vote ain't gonna matter. It's like on purpose, fam. But that's where we at. So California has its bill ACA 8, and it has officially made the ballot for November 4th, right? And what they're saying is, this is temporary. We're just going to do this for 3 years. And it's funny hearing the Democrats be like, I don't want to do this. Normally, I wouldn't be okay with this. But we're just going to do this for 3 years. And look, I hate to do it. What's our options, man? Are we going to let him just take over? We're going to let him take over this country while we're the only state that is big enough to be able to do what Texas is doing. It kind of falls on us. Just like if you was in a line at the amusement park, if you the only one that know you got squabbles, it kind of fall on you. Like, you just gonna let these people cut in line or not? They got their dumbass dad at the end of there just saying, hey, just go. And you like, my nigga, you can't just tell them that. What do you do? And that's what they did. Now it's on our ballots. Now, let's talk some pros and some cons. Next. Here we go. Now they say, again, laying the foundation. They say it's only supposed to last 3 years. Do you believe them? I don't know. But if you up for a fight, you up for a fight. You down to squabble, you down to squabble. I don't do this, but this is what we gonna do. Now, to do this, you need a special election, right? And special elections do cost money. And that's one of the cons, right? They do cost a lot of money. Is money we ain't got. Well, money we have, we just don't like to be spending it on shit that matters, right? So according to them, is money we ain't got. But it is what it is. We've done it before. When we almost recalled Gavin, right? It was a special election. I hope the rest of the world understands. While he's being an edgelord with his tweets and stuff, you know, he's shit posting, which isn't him. It's actually a really dope Latina lady who's hilarious. Please don't get it in your mind that we have forgot how cruel that man has been to our homeless population. Like, nobody trusts a man that slick his hair back like that, who messing with who's an Eskimo bro of a Trump child. Bruh, it's hard for me to listen. But look, he's not Zorhan, but he's our Zorhan. Anyway, a few points about California is remarkably Republican. More than y'all think. That's another misconception about Cali. The thing is, we are literally a bunch of coastal elites, but it's only the southern and Bay Area coast. Because once you get higher to almost Jefferson and like Wairika, like that coast, they not wit what we wit. That Jefferson County, that's a whole other planet. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and give you some demographics. Okay. This is the elections demographics from the state of California, right? And it's a 154-day result. I'll link the page in the show notes. It's a historical voter registration statistics for statewide primaries and presidential election years, right? So in September 4th of 2007, the population demographic was 42.5% Democratic and 33% Republican and 19% no party preference and then 4% other. In 2023, of course, because of what was going on, we were 46% Republican, or 46% Democrat, 23% Republican. I'm not doing the 0.9s and stuff. And then 22% no party preference. And then 7% other. The point I'm trying to make is, if you look at a map of California's demographics, there are a lot more Republicans than you think there are. Like way more. You just have to get out of the coast. And once you're in, and even when you are in our more affluent coastal regions, you get to Orange County, it's very red. You know, there's purple areas. There's an entire swath of California that none of y'all think about as California. That is rural, agricultural, and they are very much conservative. And as much as I understand the fight we in, they finna get disenfranchised. They already feel they already feel like they votes don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just too many of us on the coast, just number wise. So for them, they're like, so our votes are gonna matter less? Like, they already don't matter. We talked about this before. Like, LA has very little natural water. Our water come from Sacramento. Do you know how salty I would be if I was from North Central California and I'm like, LA exists because you tapped our water? Do you know how salty I would be about that? I would hate Los Angeles. Yo, desert ass city. You're not even supposed to be a city. I would be so salty about that. Oh man. But we have a percentage of I mean, there's Green Party, there's American Independence. Now, very much is very small, but the majority, more than or almost half, is Democrat, at least in primaries, right? So the arguments against are it's further disenfranchisement for a big swath of the country or of the state. It's going to cost so much, right? And then there's the like, are you really going to stick to the 3-year thing, right? And then finally, we have a system that works. You can't let this madman get you off your square. Because if you let this madman get you off your square at this point, then it's the slippery slope argument. Then we lose our code. What's the point of a code that if someone get out of pocket, you just willing to walk away from it? Then we don't have a plan. Mike Tyson, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. You know what I'm saying? Like, so do you like, I thought we had a plan. I thought we went through this. I thought we were better than this. We've already decided this is who we are. That nigga crazy, he cheating. Like, I don't need to be like, he wild. That nigga out of pocket, he violates all the time. I ain't finna violate because he violates. I live by a code. Where's your code? Or if you're able to like walk away from your code, then you ain't got one. Then you live by a different one than that. What are your non-negotiables? I thought we already decided that this is who we were. And we can't just let, one monkey don't stop no show. We got to trust us. Trust us. Trust that we're going to do the right thing. This is how we said we was going to show up, despite whoever they are, right? If we do this, then we're no different. The other problem is, even if we redistrict, it still may not work. People are unpredictable. You might draw these new districts and still not get 5 seats. That's the risk that even Texas is running. You may not win. You know what I'm saying? You may be like, all right, nigga, square up. You might be like, nigga, no, I'm down to squabble, and that nigga may lay you out. You may have broken your code, said the person cutting in line, you done broke your code and said, no, you're not allowed to do it. It's like, well, you make me. And then you try to make him, he throw you out of that. You just flip over the stanchion. You might lose. So we may go through all that, break our own code, and still not get what we need. So that's a risk, right? And finally, why is it on us? Like, why is it California's job? Besides Texas and us, there are 48 other states. Why is that? We need to be worried about us. We know what Trump doing. We already know what he do, how he play with us, how he been fucking with us all. Like, we ain't got time to play none of these games. It's ice in our streets. You know what I'm saying? I know you just want to run for president. Like, I thought you was the government in California. You talking about national issues. Like, nigga, focus on us. Why should we break our code to cover a mistake that Texas is doing? They ain't got shit to do with us. They gonna do what they gonna do. If Governor Abbott, you know what I'm saying, want to slob a knob, like, he can slob a knob. Like, what we doing is what we doing. Now, pros. Next. All right, pros. Now, if you believe the argument that they're making in this ballot, then you understand that what they're saying is nobody want to do this. This is strategy. I have been put in an impossible position. I have been put in a position where there is no good choice. I just have to use what's been given to me. If I would play by the rules if I was playing against a person who believed in rules. We are dealing with a man who is obviously an authoritarian. He said it out loud with his own mouth. It's a power grab. And at some point, there's a reality of like, I would do more damage. I would allow for more suffering by holding on to my principle. If the point of my principle is to reduce harm, then this is the way to reduce harm. But it's only temporary. It's only until this threat has been eliminated. In a personal example, I don't like fighting. I don't like violence. Some of my homies like it. Shit is not fun to me. I prefer not to. I don't want to get into even when I was younger, I don't want to get into no situations. I don't want that. But I will. Because there are certain things that there's certain things that levels of importance that transcend my desire for tranquility. And sometimes the way to get to tranquility, the way to get to peace is through the door of violence. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes you just gotta scrap, right? And when we do this, maybe this was a time, maybe we did need to redistrict a little bit. Maybe we were having a situation where our needs weren't actually being met the way that we wanted them to be because we were holding on to our principles in a way that was becoming detrimental. And then also, should the House flip the way that President Trump is trying to make it flip, it puts California in a position to where, like you said, you want us to worry about us. This is us worrying about us, because this means that issues that affect us that come from the federals, we would lose even more authority and power in ways to push back at, did the Marines not come to our streets? Now, granted, they quietly slipped out because they wasn't doing nothing here. It was literally National Guard just left because nothing was happening because there was no point in being here, right? But I shouldn't have had to put y'all through all that. That sucked. It sucked that we had to go through all that, right? It sucked. It put undue, unnecessary stress on the whole team. And it's only going to get worse unless we do something. And what we got is a weapon over here that we put away. What we got over here is a tool that we said we did not want to use, but we still got it. And if we can just use it just for now, but we already put in safeguards. The safeguards is the fact that we have to vote on it. And what we're voting on is the 3-year thing. Now, if we want to extend it for 3 years, we got to come and ask you again too. We can't just do it again. We have to ask y'all. So what we're saying is we're already adding the safeguards, and we're put in a position that we don't want to be in. If I don't stop him, if we don't do anything, he not only going to slap the shit out of us, he going to slap the shit out of the rest of the states. And to be honest, you know why the other states ain't doing it? Because they don't have a weapon we got. They not as big as us. We kind of feel like being one of the biggest spots here is kind of on us to do it. I have to scrap. And if I lose, so be it, so be it. Because you're right. You might lose. We might redistrict and still not get the amount of seats that you want to get. But you know what? So be it, so be it. Votes might go the opposite way. And if the votes actually go the opposite way, it's actually more reflective of what's going on in Cali anyway. And that's actually a good thing. That's the arguments for. Now, the outliers is, do you trust Gavin Newsom? Do you trust his system? Do you trust his motives? And also, is Texas going to go through with this? And what if Trump changes his mind? Because he freestyling up there. So we may go through all this, reply to all this, jump and frog, and this nigga just get over it. Right? Maybe what if this is all just because he's still trying to avoid the Epstein shit? What if he's just preemptively doing this and Texas pulls through and doesn't get the 5 seats, and then he still wins? There's so many variables. There's so many outliers. I ain't got an answer. I'm just saying, we scrapping or what? We'll decide November 4th. The politics. right, now don't you hit stop on this pod. You better listen to these credits. I need you to finish this thing so I can get the download numbers, okay? So don't stop it yet. But listen, this was recorded in East Los Boyle Heights by your boy Propaganda. Tap in with me at prophiphop.com. If you're into cold brew coffee, we got Terraform Cold Brew. You can go there.com and use promo code HOOD, get 20% off, get yourself some coffee. This was mixed, edited, and mastered by your boy Matt Osowski, killing the beat softly. Check out his website, mattosowski.com. I'm going to spell it for you because I know. mattosowski.com, mattosowski.com. He got more music and stuff like that on there, so go and check out the heat. Hood Politics is a member of Cool Zone Media, executive produced by Sophie Lichterman, part of the iHeartMedia Podcast Network. Your theme music and scoring is also by the one and only Matt Osowski, still killing the beat softly. So listen, don't let nobody lie to you. If you understand urban living, you understand politics. These people is not smarter than you. We'll see y'all next week.